This is CBC Here and Now.
It was so fast. It all happened so fast. And I'm just glad now that I had the reaction that I did.
A heart-stopping close call on the Burin Peninsula.
The driver of a Jeep talks about what happened near St. Lawrence.
Well, we've got some rain and some wind on the way, and the reason for that is the remnants of Tropical Storm Elsa.
Bringing your four-legged friend to the pedestrian mall.
Some restaurants say, hey, just let Rover take a seat.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes.
And I'm Anthony Germain. Captured on dashcam video, a near miss that could have been a fatal head-on collision.
This video shows three drivers deftly dodging a speeding truck barreling towards them on the wrong side of the highway. It happened yesterday evening near St. Lawrence on the Burin Peninsula, and the driver of that Jeep Cherokee, the darker vehicle just ahead, joins me now. So Chantel Cheeseman, I don't know about the folks watching at home right now, but my jaw dropped when I saw that video. How do you feel when you look at that video now?
When I look at it, I don't know, I cannot explain my reaction. It was so fast, it all happened so fast, and I'm just glad now that I had the reaction that I did.
For sure. Can you take me back to that moment in time? Just walk us through what happened.
Well, I passed by Epworth, and there was a white vehicle in front of me, and there was a truck behind me. And I was on my way back to my trailer, going for supper, and driving the speed limit, just going home. And as soon as I seen the truck in front of me swerve, I looked ahead, and the truck was coming at me, and I just swerved off the road. And I guess the person behind me, he almost got off the road, but didn't get fully off the road, and he got ran into and ended up in the ditch. So that was kind of scary.
Do you remember what was going through your mind in that moment? It all happened so fast and your reflexes kicked in, but do you recall what you were thinking about in that split second? I
was thinking about my life, really. It flashed before my eyes. If I didn't turn my wheel as fast as what I did, it could have been a head-on collision.
And what happened after the video stops? Everyone is kind of pulled over to the side of the road, I guess, recovering from what just happened. What did you do then?
Well, when I stopped and I guess gathered myself, I got out of my vehicle, and first thing I done was checked on the driver behind me who did get ran into, and he was fine, so that was good. And I called the cops right away. That was my first instinct, was to call the cops.
And then what happened?
The driver actually went on down the road, the one who almost smacked into us all, I guess. And he stopped. Now, he continued going down the road on the wrong side, but he did stop, and he backed up, and he got out of his vehicle, and he gave the driver that he smacked into his father's information, but then he tore off. So I was on the phone with the cops at the time, and they did actually catch him in Lewis Cove. They pulled him over. That's about 5 minutes away from where the accident actually happened.
Now, you said in your Facebook post that you will now be getting a dash cam video for your vehicle. What's the message that you would like other people to learn from this?
I guess my Facebook post was really to let people know, like, to watch out not only for wildlife, but for the drivers on the road, and to always pay attention when you're driving. And especially to the drivers, don't pass on a solid line, and don't pass on a blind hill. Like, seriously, don't be stupid.
And I see that you are in your vehicle right now, so I guess you're not too nervous after that experience to be behind the wheel.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous today, but you know what? Life goes on, and I learned from what happened, and it makes me realize to definitely pay attention while I'm in the driver's seat.
Well, hopefully a lot of people will learn something from watching that video. Chantel, we're so happy that you and the other drivers had your wits about you and that everyone is okay. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Wow, what an incredible story. Well, as far as weather goes, I'm talking about another incredible thing. I guess frost advisories are not so incredible, considering it is July. We're going to see those temperatures cool down tonight through parts of central. We're looking at temperatures somewhere between 0 and 5 degrees. The coolest temperatures will be in those low-lying areas, and in fact, there is a risk we could see some frost right across the island as we head through the overnight thanks to those temperatures. So thought we'd talk about some frost risk tips. Those annuals are what you have to watch for tonight, some of those veggies as well. The best thing to do would be to water your plants in the evening and then cover them with a plastic sheet or even a bed sheet. That helps keep the heat that is radiating from the soil closest to the plant and protect them from the frost. So that's a look at the frost warnings for tonight. We'll talk about the forecast looking ahead when I come back.
All right, now to some other news, serious news. We now know the identity of the man killed in the Waterford Valley area of St. John's in late May. The RNC is treating 68-year-old Michael King's death as a homicide, and police are looking for the public's help to identify 4 vehicles that were spotted in the area around that time. Now, King was found near a quiet walking trail which runs between Topsail Road and Waterford Bridge Road. Police say he was from St. John's. And investigators released some grainy photos this afternoon. They show 4 vehicles that were seen in the parking lot at the rear of the Waterford Hospital. Now that's near where the trail starts. The vehicles were there at around the time that King's body was discovered, as well as before the body was discovered. So police are looking for a dark SUV seen the afternoon prior between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. Also, they're looking for a red Jeep that looks similar in style to a Jeep Wrangler that was seen the same day that King's body was found between 12:30 and 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Another vehicle of interest is a different dark SUV spotted the same afternoon, this time for just a couple of minutes at around 3:30 in the afternoon. And finally, a light-colored hatchback-style sedan. This was seen in the parking lot just before 8:30, and anybody with information is asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers.
Well, tonight, an update on Jordan Natterer, the Jordan Natterer case. The young man from this province went missing in a provincial park in BC last October, and now his parents believe his remains have been found. Jordan Natterer was reported missing after he didn't return from a solo hiking trip in Manning Provincial Park, around 200 kilometers east of Vancouver. The St. John's family has kept up a relentless search effort for their son with the help of volunteers in BC. Several items belonging to the 25-year-old, including a backpack, were found on Sunday. Police say human remains were found yesterday, almost 3 kilometers from where the young man's belongings were located. According to the RCMP, crews are continuing their search of the immediate area, and the BC Coroner's Service is also investigating.
The lawyer for accused murderer Kirk Churchill will serve notice in a St. John's courtroom that his client is going to be seeking bail, but he has to wait at least a week to find out. Churchill is behind bars at Her Majesty's Penitentiary and appeared by video conference, and so did his lawyer, Robbie Ashe. Now, Churchill was recently arrested in Toronto and brought back to the province and charged with killing James Cody on Craigmillar Avenue in St. John's a year ago. Cody was discovered on the pavement dead from a gunshot wound. A handgun was later found behind a Craigmillar Avenue home owned by Churchill, and more than $400,000 in cash was seized from that residence. Ashe says he's seeking bail for his client, but has not yet received any disclosure documents. The Crown says she's waiting on information from investigators, so the case has been set over until next week. Steve Bragg will have to wait until the fall to learn his fate after his sentencing hearing this morning was postponed until September. Bragg pleaded guilty in May to killing Victoria Head in 2017. In his last court appearance, Bragg admitted to strangling the woman and leaving her dead on a St. John's road. Justice Donald Burridge told the court that the pre-sentencing reports had not been completed on time, giving the court no choice but to postpone the hearing. Bragg will remain in custody until his next court appearance.
Well, we've heard about the growing enthusiasm for patios in downtown St. John's, both from business owners and patrons, but those looking to enjoy the trend with their four-legged family members have to turn around. Here now's Enrica Wilhelm joins us now from downtown St. John's. So Enrica, looks like a lovely evening to be outside.
Yes, Carolyn, it's cooled off a little bit, but it's not that bad, and the patios are starting to slowly fill up for supper, but they're still not open for everyone. Some people would like to bring their favorite pooch along for a pint, but they can't. The province's patios are a pet-free zone. Under the Provincial Food and Drug Act, no live animals are allowed where food is handled or served, except for guide dogs and fish in aquariums. Some people would like to see change.
I think it would encourage more people to come in. I get a message, I would say, every day, every 2 days, of people asking, can I bring my dog down? And often they won't come if they can't bring their dog down, if they're the primary kind of caregiver of the dog or what have you. And I think a lot of people throughout the lockdown have had pets as kind of support, you know, their emotional support. And yeah, I think, personally, I think we should be allowed to have them here.
Other businesses are more hesitant. If someone asks to bring a dog onto our patio, we used to previously say, well, you know, you sort of have to check with the other customers. Some people, they are afraid of dogs. I do love dogs. I do love to have them around. But that's not something I have very strong opinions one way or the other about. Some businesses already allow puppy patrons on their patios, despite the legislation. And while many dog owners would like to bring their furry family members, others understand why patios have to be pooch-free.
I don't think people want to eat with other people's dogs around sniffing. Dogs, you know, as well behaved as they can be, they don't understand. If there's some food drops on the floor or something goes under somebody's table, Lily will want to be down there getting her opportunity of it. And and I can see that it would be uncomfortable for other people. And not every, we have Lily at the studio usually 2 or 3 days a week, but not everybody is comfortable around
dogs. Right?
Dogs, and you know, if you, it may be fine for a Chihuahua or a little Pomeranian, but you know, a Husky or a Big Lab or any of those sort of things, I think it would be uncomfortable for people. And I love having my dog by my feet while I'm eating supper, but I really don't think most people would.
In a statement to CBC, the Department of Health says it is not aware of any plans to change provincial legislation regarding whether dogs are permitted on restaurant patios, nor does the department currently have plans to pursue such changes from a health perspective. Other provinces have already started to allow dogs on restaurant patios, like the ones behind me. Most recently, Nova Scotia, to help businesses coming out of the pandemic and to better accommodate dog owners. For Here Now, reporting, I'm Enrica Wilhelm.
All right, Enrica's first live report. I'm very proud of her. Now, the new science building at Memorial University is set to open this fall as students get back to class. And this week, we got inside for a first look at this $325 million facility.
So, welcome to the sneak peek of the core science facility.
This building really is a once-in-a-career opportunity, because what you're trying to do when you're designing a building like this is you're trying to describe what's going to go on in science for the next 50 to 100 years. So to give you some context, our existing science building, which opened in 1963, was developed before we knew what DNA was. So our challenge in designing this building was to make it as flexible and future-proof as we possibly could, because we expect this building to be operational for about the next 50 to 100 years.
Our total floor area is 480,000 square feet. There are 190 active fume hoods within the building, and there are 250 lab sinks throughout the building. Also, we have over 3 kilometers of running laboratory countertops throughout the building for staff and researchers to use throughout this facility. On our exterior, we have 912 concrete panels surrounding the building, and in total, those concrete panels weighed in at just over 10 million pounds.
Tell me what's in the box behind you. The box behind me houses the skull of the blue whale. after which this atrium is named. This is going to be the blue whale atrium. The whale in total, I think, I'm sorry I don't have the metric equivalent because I've only had the reported number in feet. It's about 83 feet long in total. You can see a large chunk of that body is the skull. And again, part of the goal of this building is not simply to be as dynamic and forward-leading, but it's also meant to be inspirational. So it's meant to be a magnet that draws people from throughout the university community into this building to use the facilities and infrastructure that we have within this building. And again, part of the design of that building is to bring different disciplines together.
You're standing in the first year chemistry lab, well, one of the two first year chemistry labs. Starting in September, we will put about a little over 1,200 students through here a week.
It allows us to be more modern, more interactive. So right now, you know, my lab is a space with walls, and those walls really can block the easy flow of ideas and interactions. And so now my students are going to be interacting much more easily with students from other labs, and ideas can flow.
It's going to allow us to continue to attract and retain the best and the brightest researchers, faculty members who are going to teach the students of Newfoundland and Labrador, graduate students and undergraduate students.
So this is really a great space for us. You can see it's a beautiful space to work in. You can imagine this will be very inspirational for our students to work here. You know, I want this for my office, frankly. This was a great view.
Instead of having kind of a traditional model where we have a lecture and then students listen to me talk for 50 minutes and then later in the week they go to the lab and actually get to try the stuff out, the space is going to be configured so that we can have a much more interactive, engaging style of teaching in which students are encouraged to experiment with things as we're teaching them. So it's really going to enable some new, amazing things. And I'm really excited to, well, once the computers get into that lab, I'm going to be really excited to teach students in there from first year all the way up to our term 8.
So this is a publicly funded building. We want people to come into this building. We want people to realize what opportunities exist within science and engineering and get excited about it and decide that being a leader in science and engineering at Memorial University is something that they should certainly consider.
A lovely shot out there right now. You can see some cloud cover. Those temperatures really dropped this afternoon. I'll talk about why that happened when I come back.
Time for a look at the weather forecast, and what a temperature change today from the early part of the day to the later part of the day, just like that.
Yeah, I was outside and went inside to grab a glass of water, came back outside, and I needed a sweater.
Yeah.
It was incredible, and thanks to a wind shift, that's why we saw that, which we often do. Let's take a look at the daytime highs today. Before there, we got to 19 degrees in St. John's. It was absolutely gorgeous. Plenty of sunshine through the afternoon. Areas towards Central saw your highs in the teens through the day, so a little bit much cooler than what we saw yesterday. And then up across Labrador, 18 degrees in Lab City was the daytime high today, and 20 degrees for Happy Valley, Goose Bay. Those temperatures along the coast were in the teens. So around 2 o'clock, that's when that temperature dropped, and this is where we're sitting now. 10 degrees in St. John's. Number of areas through Central still sitting in the 14 to 16 degree range, and then we've got those temperatures still around 20 degrees for Happy Valley, Goose Bay. So these temperatures are going to drop as we head through the overnight tonight. The reason for that drop earlier today was that cold front. So we did see that sweep through. As that happened, we saw a little bit of a wind shift from northwesterlies, well, westerlies really, to northeasterlies, and that's why we would see that temperature drop in eastern areas of the Avalon. And then as far as the rest of the province goes, not a whole lot happening today. Plenty of sunshine up across Labrador and some clearing skies, the story tonight for the island. And that will be the story for the entire province, really, as we head through the overnight tonight. The winds are going to ease off, and when we see these clear skies and calm conditions, that's a perfect recipe for frost, and that's why we do have those frost warnings in place, or at least the risk of frost tonight. Temperatures overnight dipping somewhere between 4 to 7 degrees. Really, in any of those low-lying areas, you're looking at that risk. And then up across Labrador, same thing. However, temperatures for the southeast and the northern peninsula are going to stay up above 10 to 12 degrees as your overnight lows tonight. Now tomorrow they're going to rebound quite nicely. We're going to see those temperatures back up into the 20s through Central, 18 degrees in St. John's, and keeping things cloudy with the chance of showers for Corner Brook as well as Port aux Basques, and then staying quiet for northern Labrador, around 18 degrees for Nain, and then you're looking at those temperatures between 16 to 21 for the rest of Labrador. The reason for this rain is a warm front that's going to move through. So this is up ahead of what will be the remnants of Tropical Storm Elsa. We're going to see that move in as the day goes on. So clouds will be on the increase. Some showers will develop into the afternoon. Same thing along the strait as we get into the late afternoon hours. And you're also going to note with this, as we get back into that southerly flow, we're going to notice the humidity is going to bump up quite a bit as well. And that will be the story. Eventually, the remnants of Tropical Storm Elsa will move in for Saturday morning, and we're going to see those winds ramp up as well in some of that heavier rain. Right now, it's working its way northward towards Virginia, and it's going to head our way as we head through the Friday night into Saturday morning. Going to hit the Maritime provinces first, bringing some rain and windy conditions, and then it'll head towards Newfoundland and Labrador as we get into early Saturday morning, and then quickly roll through as we get into the afternoon hours, and then eventually head offshore. So as far as that rain goes, the heaviest amounts of rain that we're going to see will likely be right along the track. So at this point, it's looking like it's going to track through the Strait of Belle Isle, and that's where we're going to see the most of the rain, somewhere between 30 to 50 millimeters. We may see some pockets more. Now, this is including what's going to fall with that warm front. And then as far as the winds go, we're going to see the winds ramp up tomorrow night ahead of that system with the warm front. So winds will be gusting somewhere between 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. And then the winds really ramp up Saturday morning, looking at wind gusts upwards of 80, maybe even 90 kilometers per hour in the Wreck House area. The rest should see gusts somewhere between 70 to 85 kilometers per hour, and eventually those winds will spread further east as well. So at this point, it's looking like the majority of the wind should be for the island. We're not looking at too much in the way across Labrador. You're looking at your wind somewhere between 20 to 30 kilometers per hour, but you're going to see your temperatures stay up over the next couple of days, so that's certainly good news. We'll get into more of the details when I come back.
Well, thanks, Ashley. So it's a little warmer in parts of Labrador. That's not always true in the big land. When it comes to preserving lost artifacts, though, the cold is a friend for historians and anthropologists. And our next story with the Innu Nation is about a remarkable discovery, a very old, impressive piece of clothing frozen in time. But this was not found in an outdoor block of ice or a frozen lake, but rather a Labrador freezer. Jody Ashini is the Cultural Heritage Guardian with Innu Nation, and she is in Northwest River. So Jody, what led up to this discovery?
I actually got a tattoo recently of a painted caribou coat design from one of our coats in Gatineau in the Canadian Museum of History. And CBC here, Labrador Morning, actually interviewed me about it and the importance of the caribou coats. And I had someone reach out to me after they listened to the interview and asked if we knew about a coat in the museum in Northwest River. And I actually had not. So she said, maybe you should ask someone there. So I approached one of the people on the Heritage Society's board. And do you know if there's a coat at your museum? And she's like, I don't think so, but I'll take a look. So about 4 weeks went by and I never heard nothing. And Monday morning I got a message and lo and behold, it's in the freezer in the basement at the museum in Northwest.
So in the freezer in the basement, I'm thinking like in my house, I'll go back and there's cod there that I think Joey was premier when that was put there. So how long has this thing been in the freezer?
They don't know. They were thinking it might be from a transfer from when there was a museum in Goose Bay. So it's been a while.
So if I understand this coat, and we've got pictures of it, goes back to 1913. What's the significance of a piece of wardrobe like this to the Innu?
It's amazing. It ties us to our culture. It was a reason for survival. It was made and painted for the hunters to thank the caribou master for a hunt. So they'd wear them hunting, and then they'd hang them outside of a tent during a mokushan or after a successful hunt to thank the caribou master. So they were a reason for survival.
And it's incredible too. You think 1913, the year before the First World War started, the turn of the 20th century, but these kinds of coats and these garments go back a long time, right?
They do, for thousands of years. And because soil is so acidic in Labrador, we sadly don't find many organic things other than rock in the archaeological history. But to find something that is this old and beautifully preserved, we're pretty blessed.
So what happens next as a final question? You guys have to get like a freezer truck and put it in there and send it to some experts, or do you get experts to go to where you are in Labrador? What happens now?
Well, I was actually talking to the conservators at the rooms, and we're going to work on a plan. Hopefully they will come up and get it climatized to a normal temperature from the freezer and be able to display it at the interpretation center before it goes with our other coats at the rooms. So I'd like for the community members, children, stuff to be able to come see this coat first prior to it being put away for our cultural center when it's completed.
Well, it's always great to get a story when an artifact is found. Thank you very much, and I guess congratulations. Who knows what might be in other freezers somewhere else. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, if you've thought about growing your own vegetables this summer, stay tuned for some inspiration.
You can grow food in your own backyard. It's simple.
I'm here in Pooch Cove with Dan Rubin, and he's going to show us around his garden. Well, I'm here in beautiful Pooch Cove today with Dan Rubin, the chair of the Food Producers Forum. We're here on his farm on the cliffside here. He's going to show us around and show us how you grow your own food.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Carolyn, we've lived here for about 17 years, moved here from the west coast of Canada, and little by little we've been figuring out how to grow our own food in this challenging climate.
Right.
And what we're walking through right now is actually a backyard orchard.
Oh, okay.
We have apples, we have cherries, we have pears, we have plums, we have 2 more cherry trees, we have red currants, black currants, gooseberries, 7 apple trees, and as well rhubarb and kiwis and grapes.
This is such a compact area.
It's a double wide city lot, and we've crammed 27 fruit trees and bushes into it and more than 20 raised beds.
Wow.
So this is what's possible, but the keys are protection from wind and cold, planting the right varieties, and then building up really rich organic soil. And that's not the stuff you find in the bags at the big box store. That's maple leaves, seaweed, manure, compost. But it's really simple once you figure it out. Oh, there's the goats.
Little goats over there.
I've got onions, peas, beans, and more onions. Jerusalem artichoke, which is an invasive, edible sunflower. It forms a gnarly root that looks like ginger, but it's a beautiful starchy root. So this is an apple tree in flower, and the important thing about this tree is that it's northern adapted. It's not any old apple tree. It is a type that grows well in the north, and we partnered on the project that bought these trees with Evan Murray at Murray's Garden Center, and intentionally bought trees that are doing well in our climate. And you can see it's doing really well. And over here, the story continues. We've got rhubarb about to be harvested. 15 gallons of rhubarb wine, I think, this year. This is carrots, but what you see coming up right here are the radishes that come up first. We have asparagus growing. This is how you deal with the pests. So if you plant cabbage or broccoli or any of those things, the white butterflies will lay the eggs that turn into the cabbage worm. But if you cover it with this garden fabric, and this is the heavier kind, which is good for the wind here, you can grow your purple cabbage and your broccoli under this, what's called rime, or garden fabric. And this will protect it. This also holds in moisture and warmth. So this is like a little greenhouse.
Amazing, and so simple to make. It's just a piece of wood and some fabric.
Oh, it's simple, yeah. And so much of this can be done with recycled materials. We throw away so much at Robin Hood Day every single day. And a lot of it is materials you can use to create a greenhouse or a raised bed. So that's what we've done. A lot of the materials I'm using here are recycled, not so much as fabric, but a lot of the wood is. And here in this bed, we have lettuce and bok choy and chard. Now the crazy thing about this is that when I put the lid down, I've got an enclosed space that's warm enough that in the wintertime, we had lettuce and arugula and spinach and kale growing there. And we could go out in February in the snow and harvest salad.
Wow. Not, buying it from a supermarket where it's been sitting on a truck and traveling for however long from wherever, and just being able to step outside in the middle of winter to get your own greens.
Yes. Yes, it had to be planted in the fall and settle in and start to grow. And in the wintertime, it doesn't grow much, but it's still there and it doesn't mind the cold with just that amount of protection.
So you don't need anything fancy, you don't need anything heated.
You can do it, and I could go on for hours, but all the mistakes and the stupid things I've done. So what I want to say to people who are listening to this is don't worry, just do it. Every time you make a mistake, you'll learn something. And you'll learn from your neighbors and your friends. There are thousands of people now getting into gardening, and it's wonderful. And these are the crazy things that I discovered when I first started this garden. There were these strange plants growing at the edge of my garden that had been here for years. And it turns out that they're called walking onions. They form little baby onions on the top of stalks that then dry out and walk to a new place and transplant themselves. But these are onions that never form a bulb under the ground. They're a heritage plant in Pouch Cove. These giant green onions are succulent and sweet, and you can use them in salads, and you can use them in cooking, and you can freeze them. You can blanch and freeze them. Yeah, isn't that great? And they're a true perennial. They will grow year after year without being planted. And there is a dandelion coming up. Dandelions are another wonderful food, but of course when they come up in your onion bed, you pull them out. Yeah. And where these go into a bucket of water to rot and create fertilizer.
Really?
Yeah, it's called weed tea.
What about the risk of like seeds getting into it and then spreading dandelion everywhere?
So I would do this. I would put the plant, but not the flower tops. But I'm not afraid of dandelions. If they come, I weed them out, or if they grow in the lawn, well, that's a blessing, not a curse. So every handful of weeds is equal to free fertilizer. Growing in your garden.
Wonderful.
The best fertilizer of all came from the ocean. It was the fish heads and the guts and the backbones that were left when you filleted the cod and laid it out to dry. And capelin. So when you bring those marine resources back to feed the garden, you're completing another cycle, land and sea joined together.
Beautiful thought. Well, Dan, thank you for showing us around your beautiful garden. It really is a piece of paradise in Pouch Cove.
Well, my pleasure showing it to you. And what I want to say to people is that this is the result of 17 years of work. And if you take it one step at a time, you can grow food in your own backyard. It's simple.
Thank you so much, Dan Rubin. Well, the federal NDP is calling for the appointment of a special prosecutor to examine crimes committed at former residential schools and other institutions. MPs Charlie Angus and Mumilak Kakak accuse the federal government of long-standing collusion with the major churches and covering up evidence of abuse and deaths.
The map of Canada is covered with crime scenes. The unmarked graves that have shocked Canadians are just the tip of the iceberg. We have been saying this for generations, and it's time for Canada to face the truth. Together with Charlie Angus, I am calling on Attorney General David Lametti to appoint an independent special prosecutor immediately that has the power and resources to conduct a thorough and comprehensive investigation into residential schools, day schools, sanatoriums, and everywhere Indigenous children and peoples have faced decades of violence and abuse at the hands of the genocidal partnership between the federal institution and the churches.
The two MPs identified two priests they say committed sexual and other crimes against Indigenous children. They accuse the federal government of sitting on a trove of documents that identify perpetrators, documents they want to see made public. Well, in other news, Canada's former Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould will not be running in the next federal election. Wilson-Raybould, who now sits as an independent MP in Vancouver, made the announcement earlier today. She spoke with CBC Radio in Vancouver about some of her key concerns with the state of government in Canada.
There's still an inherent challenge in terms of the way we govern in this country and in the power of the Prime Minister, which goes very much unchecked, and the power of unelected people in terms of their influence over public policy decisions that are made. These are things that we as a country need to address.
Wilson-Raybould says she's decided to work on issues that are important to her in different venues. She's a former prosecutor and regional chief in BC. She was first elected as a Liberal MP in Vancouver-Granville in 2015. She became Canada's first Indigenous Justice Minister in 2015, but resigned from cabinet and was subsequently ousted from the Liberal Party following the SNC-Lavalin affair. Wilson-Raybould was re-elected as an independent MP in October 2019.
In international news, reports quoting various Haitian officials are emerging about the assassination of the country's president yesterday. Haiti's elections minister told the Associated Press that 2 of the 6 men who've been arrested appear to be Haitian Americans, and that one of them is allegedly a former bodyguard at the Canadian embassy. Haiti's police chief said today the individuals who carried out the attack have been caught, and they are now looking for the masterminds behind the assassination plot. 6 suspects have been taken into custody. 4 others have been killed in a gunfight with police. 2 still missing. There's word today that the country's prime minister will act as Haiti's leader until elections are held. Those are expected to happen later this year. The United States is going to end its military mission in Afghanistan on August 31st. President Joe Biden made the declaration saying the United States had done what it set out to do, diminish the threat of the Taliban. He said the U.S. did not go to Afghanistan to nation build. That, the president says, is up to Afghans.
The only way there's ultimately going to be peace and security in Afghanistan is that they work out a modus vivendi with the Taliban and they make a judgment as to how they can make peace. And the likelihood there's going to be one unified government in Afghanistan controlling the whole country is highly unlikely.
There are between 2,500 and 3,500 U.S. troops still in Afghanistan. Biden pledged ongoing aid and diplomatic support for the Afghan government. A ban on all spectators has been announced at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. Those are just set to start in just over 2 weeks.
We'll support any measure which is necessary to have safe and secure Olympic and Paralympic Games.
Now, the announcement came just after a state of emergency was declared in the Japanese capital following a surge in COVID-19 cases. The new measures will go into effect Monday and last through to August 22nd. It means the Olympics will be held entirely under a state of emergency. The Paralympics are set to open on August the 24th. A new summer series tonight, and it's about music and place.
Yes, filmmaker Roger Monder and singer-songwriter Chris Andrews of Shanneyganock take us to places in the province that have inspired some well-known songs.
And tonight, Chris Andrews gives us the history of Pat Murphy's Meadow.
The autumn days are here again, the night wind chilly blow. The woodland turns to golden hue, and the harvest moon's aglow. Here again of days long past to come, no more I know. When I mowed Pat Murphy's meadow in the sunny long ago. I'm Chris Andrews. Welcome to Kings Cove, the Athens of the North and the home of Pat Murphy's Meadow. Come on with me. Founded in 1750 when two brothers named Aylward, originally from County Cork, Ireland, but living in Keel's Bonavista Bay, fell out over the sinking of their boat filled with fish and oil bound for St. John's. Kings Cove has survived the last 270 years from the land, but mostly the sea. Having a healthy, bustling community most of its existence, now only 80 people live here full-time. A beautiful, scenic, rural Newfoundland community full of history that is also home to a Newfoundland song that went international.
Hi, my name is Mike Ricketts. I'm the mayor of Kings Cove. The song Pat Murphy's Meadow started out as a poem originally, and there was a guy, J.M. Devine, John Martin Devine. Back in the 30s, he was in the States working in New York, and I guess he got homesick, and he sat down one night and started thinking about home and wrote a poem. It got passed over to the McNulty family, and they put music to it, and they turned it into a song, and it became a hit.
The song has been recorded by many local and international performers and has been played all around the world.
I think it's cool to come out to the actual place that the song is written about, you know, and see it with your own eyes. And now people at home will be able to see it. You know, it's a beautiful spot. You sit here and this amazing view, and it's hard to believe that at one point this was all full of houses and barns and families and children. And would cut the hay off this little meadow to survive. The song is there to remind people about what once was here, and you know, the people that lived here, and just they were good times too, different times, but good times.
If we continue past Pat Murphy's Meadow, it will take us on the Lighthouse Trail, built on Western Point in 1893 at a cost of $4,300. A lot of money back then.
The lighthouse is let's just say, right on the edge.
The first lighthouse keeper was James Batterton, and the first light was a one-burner kerosene lamp. The lighthouse tradition was passed from generation to generation till the Maddox family took over in 1955, and Tom Walsh was the last keeper of the light in 2000. The lighthouse offers amazing views of the ocean, walking trails, and the UNESCO Geopark at Brook Point.
It's a cool spot, never gets old.
Those days are but a memory, like the snow of yesteryear. And as evening shades are falling all alone, I'll shed a tear. On my cheek I feel a soft touch of the winds that whisper low. When I mowed Pat Murphy's Meadow in the sunny long ago. When I mowed Pat Murphy's Meadow in the sunny long ago.
Beautiful song and beautiful part of the province.
Isn't it?
For sure. So we're going to look ahead now to the weather on the weekend and that storm that you've been keeping a close eye on all week, Elsa.
Yep, Tropical Storm Elsa, or what's going to be left of it by the time it gets here. It's going to move in Saturday morning. Kind of got into some of the details a little bit further, a little bit earlier, but let's show you the future tracker. So we'll start to see that rain, or at least the next round of rain from the remnants Saturday morning. And like I said earlier, the heaviest rain should fall in and along the west coast and southeastern Labrador. Now, it moves fairly quickly. The further east you head, you're not really going to see too much in the way of rain. You may see a few showers from this one, but again, that heaviest rain will be right along the track. That will move off, and then looking at the next system, which looks like it'll affect eastern areas of the island as we head through Sunday morning. So we're going to keep an eye on that one as well. Just looks like the chance of some showers through the day on Sunday. Wanted to show you the chance of seeing some sustained winds upwards of about 65 kilometers per hour. This is from the National Hurricane Center. So we will see that risk through the maritime provinces for sure. And then the best chance of seeing those strongest winds, sustained 65 kilometers an hour, will be generally for the southwest. This will happen through the day on Saturday, or at least the early morning on Saturday, in the rec house area is more than likely where we're going to see those strongest winds, just because they're going to be easterlies. So gusts there could exceed 90, even 95 kilometers per hour through the afternoon. As far as temperatures go, they're going to be fairly warm, and you're also going to note it's going to start to feel very humid as we start to see that tropical moisture move in. So 24 degrees in St. John's with that chance of showers, and again that humidity. 26 through Gander. A little cooler though for the southwest. Port aux Basques looking at that 16-degree mark, and then Labrador looking beautiful. 19 degrees for Lab City, 23 for Happy Valley Goose Bay, and then for Cartwright you're looking at a similar temperature. So heading into Sunday, it's going to stay mild, it's going to stay humid through the afternoon, but things will start to clear out. Like I said, the best chance of those showers will be for the east. You're looking at about 18 degrees for St. John's, 21 in Happy Valley Goose Bay as your afternoon highs. And then for the rest of the week, or at least the rest of the weekend, looking into the beginning of next week, you're looking at temperatures around 23 degrees for Monday, and then Tuesday a little bit of a dip, but some sunshine through the afternoon. For both central and western Newfoundland, after Monday, we're going to see some beautiful temperatures, 25 degrees on Tuesday with plenty of sunshine. And then for the eastern portion of Labrador, sunshine right through next week, and then same thing for western Labrador, your temperatures will start to climb up as well. Quickly share this photo, sunset in Corner Brook. Colleen shared that one with us today. If you have any weather photos, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Yeah, very nice.
Beautiful.
Great shot.
Very nice indeed. I can't believe Friday's almost here already.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. Tomorrow is Friday. We're almost there to the weekend. So hope you can all join us again here tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.